Hi, in assignment 2, you'll be given some data and you will be asked to create a histogram that corresponds with that data. Now, some of you may find that a bit challenging, so to help you, I have put together this little video. So let's get started. What we have here are the best actresses and best actors data. So you've seen this before, we have discussed this in class. So let's go about creating our histogram. To create a histogram, first we have to create the frequency distribution. Now there is software out there that will take your data and instantly create your histogram for you. The problem with that is that you don't have access to the histogram then. You don't have access to the frequency distribution. And for this assignment, I want to see your frequency distribution. So let's go about doing this. So first thing we want to do is find out how many data values do we have. So let's go, we write count, and here I'm going to find a function which happens to have the same name, count, and then I'm going to select all these values here and have Excel tell me how many values I have. So one way to do this would be to pull this down and select all the values, but an easier way would be you select the first cell. I am pressing Shift and Control. So now you can't see that. So on your keyboard, there are the keys Shift and Control. I'm pressing the two of them, and then I'm pressing the down arrow. And notice I have all that data. So technically I need to close the parentheses here, but Excel will do it for me. So I just click on that little check mark and I get my parentheses closed. Always make sure you check your work. Remember, parentheses are very important. So as you can see here, we have 76 values. Now that we have our count, let's find the minimum and maximum values in our data set. So we're working with the best actresses. Minimum, as you can imagine, there's a function called minimum. Always remember the equal sign. And I need these values here. I'm holding Shift and Control at the same time, pressing the down arrow key. And notice the smallest value here is 21. Let's find the largest value. That's going to be max. And once again, I come here and I get the largest value. So why are we finding this? Remember, we want to get the class width, and so we need to divide the difference between the maximum and minimum values in our data set by the number of classes we choose. So let's go about seeing a way of deciding how many classes we should start with. Remember, this is subjective, so you may start off with a certain number of classes. You don't like your histogram, then you have to do it again, with a different number of classes. But there is a little rule of thumb to help you know where to start. And it's as follows. If n is the number of data values, all right, and small n is the number of classes you want, and then the number of data values is going to be equal to 2 to the nth power. So in this case, we know, because we just did our count, we have 76 values. And so what we want to know is 2 to the what gives me 76. If you did some algebra, you know that this is a power. It's the power we want. So n is the power to which 2 must be raised in order to get 76. And so if you do this, that's log of 76. You can use log. That's log of 76 divided by log of 2. You could also use ln. So log of 76 divided by log of 2, that gives me 6.24. So this gives you a ballpark figure. You should start with, let's say, 6. You could try 7 if you want. Alright, so let's try 6. As you remember from the class session, 6 is the number of intervals the author used. And so let's work with 6. We had decided on using n equals 6. So let's do that. And now let's get our class width. I'm double clicking here with that little symbol there so it auto fits. And so here, how do we get this? Well, it's the maximum value, which is this, so I should put parentheses first. Maximum minus the minimum, and then I'm going to close that and divide by the number of bins, the number of classes I have. We get 9.83. Let's find a more convenient number, a number close to 9.83. And so let's work with 10. And I'll just shade that so I know this is the number I'm working with. So what's left to do now? Well, we now need to create our classes. So we start with the lowest value in our with the lower limit of our first class, and then we go calculating the other values. So to get our classes, we first need to get our starting value, which is the lower limit of our first class. So you don't necessarily have to start with the minimum value of your data set, but here we do that. So we start with 21. And so it goes 21, 31, 41, 51, 61, 71. Remember, it's these differences here that give us the class width. So it's not 21 to 30, it's 21 to 31. So then after that, you work with upper class limits, and so the rest is easy. It's going to be 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. However, there's a problem with this, and it has to do with the Excel functionality that we're going to be using. Excel wants the class boundaries. And so then let's give Excel those class boundaries. So what will be the boundaries? Let's place the boundaries right here. I can go 30.5, 40.5, have the rest, 80.5. And so this is what Excel is going to want, these boundaries. You don't need to put the first boundary, the 20.5, because there will be no values below 20.5. So what Excel does is looks for values below 30.5, then for values between 30.5 and 40.5 in your data set. So let's do that. To do this, we're going to we come over to our data tab. So normally you're working in your home tab, you come over to your data tab and you click on this. Now, chances are most of you will not have this here. So you have to go and install it. It comes already with Excel, so it's not too difficult to do. I have a link in the additional resources section of your page. You can go and look at that. However, it's not so hard. You just come over to File, and you come down to Options, and then you come to Add-ins, and this is what you're going to want. So it says here Manage Excel Add-ins, just click Go, and then you select the one you want, and it's this one that you're going to want. Analysis Toolpath. Not this, not this, not this, just this one, Analysis Toolpath, and then you click OK. So as you can see, I already have it selected. So make sure you do that. And then you come and click on it, and you pick what you want. So this gives you a lot of functionality. We can simply click on histogram here. So it's going to want the input range. So let's imagine when you do this for the first time, these will probably be empty, right? Let's just erase everything here. So the input range will be your data set. So you come and you click this up arrow here, come back to your data set, and then you just select those. Remember, it's Shift Control and the down arrow key. And then you come back here and click on this little thing here, and you have that. Your bin range Excel gets the bin range from your boundaries. So you come here. Well, let's do it properly. I made a mistake here already. Click there, come here and select these. And that's it. Oh, the output range is where I want it. Right here would be nice. So let's just click on that. So I come here and click on that. And I'm good. And then I want a chart output. So you should pause and take a look at this and see what this looks like. Remember, for your data, these values won't be exactly the same. You just work with what you have. And then I click OK. And notice how quick this is. So a little assignment like this would have taken many hours for you to do. So this should not take that long. Yes, because it's the first time, maybe some of you have never worked with Excel before. It might be a bit daunting, but you know, you're going to be somebody with good skills when you leave here. So this is our histogram. It's not quite what we expect a histogram to look like yet. So let's go fixing it up. Nobody likes working with the boundaries. We want the class intervals, so we can go back here. Since we're pretty much finished with this, we can go back here and get these values from here. I'm copying. I press Ctrl C and now Ctrl V. Then I come here, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Notice, and now it looks better here. We can make this a little bit bigger, or you can zoom in. I think you can zoom in. So histogram should not have spaces between these columns. So we right click right here. And I pick Format Data Series. And I say I want 0 gap. And then let's just close this and see what happens. I clicked the wrong thing. Alright. Now, obviously this was not good. So we need to put the borders back in. So again, we right click, Format Data Series, and now we come over here to border. And then I want a solid line. And of course I can't make the solid line blue because then that would make no sense. And I can make it a little bit thicker, 1 point. And we should be good to go. See? So the only thing can move this around. We could get rid of this. We don't need the more here. I can just erase that from there. And see, I have my chart. 21 to 30, 31 to 40, and so on. What else can we do? You could write something in here, you know, like frequency distribution, no, histogram, histogram of best actresses. And here for the bin, perhaps you could write ages of actresses. So once you have all of this in your report, then make sure you use your data set. I want to see the largest value in your data set, the smallest value in your data sets. I want to see how many classes you're using. I want to see the class width. I want to see your first estimation. So this is what you get when you do the division, and then what you decide to use. So we're using 10 here. I also want to see your classes. So I want to see these values here. I want to see your boundaries. So make sure you put all of this in your report. I'm going to give you the rubric, so make sure you follow it. I want to see this, which is your frequency distribution, and I want to see your histogram. Sometimes when I'm doing this, I don't write this first because I might not like what it looks like, and I don't want to be doing this over and over again. So I just work with the boundaries, and then I go changing this. And then when I'm finished and I like what it looks like, then I write out the actual class, the actual classes. This brings us to the end of our little example. Um, you could always manipulate this image to make it look more like what you want it to look like. You could maybe squeeze it a bit like this, elongate it this way, whatever. You need to know to copy this from the screen here to your Word document. That should not be too hard to do, so I'll leave that for you to figure out. Alright, so I hope this helps and that you do a very good professional looking assignment. So with that, I'll say bye for now.